Hello, and welcome to another edition of Friday Night Series. And this series is on how to pray. And I'm your host, the Reverend Doctor. And we're talking about prayer. And this whole series is going to be about how to pray. And we're going to use some descriptions in the Bible. And the first one we'll take a look at is Daniel. Daniel was known as a very good prayer. He prayed a lot, and God answered his prayers. And in Daniel chapter 6 and verse 10, it says, "Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his window being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime." So as he did aforetime, it meant that Daniel did this on a regular basis, 3 times a day, on a regular basis. And also we notice that in Daniel prayed for 21 days straight, or specific prayer, 21 days. So when we're talking about prayer, I mean, sure, we say prayer, when we get ready to eat our food, and if, we might say a prayer if somebody says sick or something like that, but, it's for us to say that we actually are good prayers. Well, this series, I think, will help us to become better at praying than we normally are. So tonight I want to review the 10 principles that are associated with Daniel. The 10 principles. Now, there's probably more, and some of them are probably intermingled together. But for this series, these are the 10 principles of prayer that we can associate with Daniel. The first one is that prayer is very important. Prayer is very important in our lives. It is, things are important. Yes, but prayer is very important in our lives. I mean, that's what we have to do. Number 2, no one is ever too busy, too blessed, or too successful to pray. You're not too busy, too blessed, or too successful that you can't pray. Now, and the theme of this series is that if you're too busy to pray, you're too busy. You're way too busy if you're too busy to pray. Principle number three, prayer is the source of our power and protection. The source of our power and protection. Prayer. Principle number 4, prayer is important in acquiring and sustaining the blessings of God. That's how we talk to God. Through prayer. Because we're in the physical, he's in the spiritual. So we have to talk to him through prayer. But that is our power. That is inquiring and sustaining his blessings. That we pray to him in the spiritual, but he blesses us in the physical. Principle number 5. For prayer to be effective, it must be habitual. It must be a habit. You can't just do it once every blue moon, or when Mama and Papa's sick, or something like that, or some tragic. No, you want to pray all the time. You pray in the good time and the bad times. Pray all the time. It needs to be a habit. See, Daniel prayed as a habit. And he didn't care how he felt and what his day was like. He prayed 3 times a day for prayer. Principle number 6, prayer must continue both in troubled times and in times of peace. And this goes along with it being a habit. That not only do we pray in the good times, but we got to pray in the bad times too. Or don't pray only in the bad times. Pray in the good times too. Thank God for the blessings. Pray to God. Talk to God. Talk to God in the good times and the bad times. Number 7, every nation needs lots of prayer and prayerful leaders. Yes, and our country needs lots of prayer, and we need prayerful leaders. Doesn't matter where it is, the mayor, the city council, the representative, the senator, the president, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We need a nation to be prayerful. And our nation at this point needs a lot of prayer. So when you go and make your prayer, please pray for our nation. Pray for our leaders. Principle number 8. It is important to pray for long periods of time. Now, some people say that when they get up and you hear people praying for a long time, you know, people get anxious and saying, hurry up and bring this to an end. But when you really start praying, you'll find out that 10 minutes go by fast, then 15 minutes, then 30 minutes. Goes by real fast when you're praying. And you don't have to be praying out loud for people to hear you. You're praying and talking to God. So yes, we can learn to pray for long periods of time. There is no limit set that you have to pray, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. The Bible doesn't say anything about that. But when we praise and honor God, what's the time limit? You say, well, how much time I got? You got your whole life. And it may be shorter than you think. You got your whole life. Principle number 9. It is important to enter your closet for effectual prayer. I mean, praying with a group of people is okay, but you've got to have that personal one-on-one prayer with God. You've got to have that. And you really can't do that in a group. I mean, there's a group prayer and then there's a single prayer. In the group prayer, we're praying, all of us together are praying for one thing. Do you know how powerful that is? If everybody in a group praying for the same thing on one accord, do you know how powerful that is? But then there's that single prayer where you go in your closet and it's just you and God talking. Nobody else. Just you and God talking. Just you and God. So you have to go in your closet. You got to find your closet. And I mean not a physical closet, but I guess physically if you want to go in the closet to be away from people, yes, you can do that. But this is like a metaphor, which means you got to find a place where there's no distractions. There's nobody else. Just you and God talking. And talk to God through prayer. And number 10, everyone must develop the ability and the formulae for praying 4 times a day. Daniel prayed 3 times a day, but that's what the Bible says, but he probably prayed more. But we can easily do 4 a day. Pray when you get up in the morning. Pray at lunchtime, when you're eating your meal. Pray in the afternoon, I guess, as soon as you get off work. And then your prayers before you go to bed at night. 4 times a day. Now, I know how hard it is because sometimes we get busy and things to do, and it's kind of, you got to build up to that. You got to build up to prayer 4 times a day. You got to build up to that. Now, right at the beginning, don't expect you to do 4 times a day. Well, yes, you can, but I noticed that, we have to build up to that. So start out with 1 time a day, then get up to 2 times a day, and then work on 3 times. Then you'll be surprised at how quickly you'll get to 4 times a day. And then make it a habit, and it becomes easy. It becomes easy. 4 times a day. So those are the 10 principles that are attributed to Daniel. And that's the foundation for how to pray. We're going to apply those 10 principles as we go on, and we're going to keep bringing these principles back up, and we're going to show how they fit into this series on how to pray. Friday night series, how to pray. So why don't you join with me and take this journey and then hopefully it will improve our prayer life. But this has been another edition of Friday Night Series, How to Pray. And I'm your host, the Reverend Doctor. And I always go sign off by saying, if you're too busy to pray, you're too busy. May God have mercy on our souls.